I think making good progress, and I think this protocol then, who is the leader of our side and the protocol, the technical team? Sunguli?
Director Electoral Operations.
Is he around?
Yes.
Okay, Marijan, maybe they have been briefing you?
Today they have gone to...
they have gone where?
To the warehouse.
A warehouse. Oh, they are in the warehouse. So your question is, if the issues are raised as a result of that meeting, we should respond to them in good time. And I know Paul Mwangil also say the same thing. I've received, I think, a lot of mail from Asmi, about 5 letters. Every time we finish responding to one, another one comes. But we assure you we shall give you your responses by close of business tomorrow. The reason being that the issues you raise are very technical in nature. We had to use the same technical team to now prepare the responses. And hopefully we should be able to give you the responses by tomorrow. The response to communication, timers, I say that is covered. Candidates, what is this question on candidates and ballot papers? Did somebody capture it? Yes, so Professor, then Marijan, then the commissioners on follow-up. Thank you. Yes, on the verification processes.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if I got the question correctly, but it talks about the candidates not being gazetted, but the ballot papers being printed, is it? If that is the case, then I think the moment the chairman had signed and authorized printing of the gazette notice of candidates, the same was also communicated to the printer for purposes of fast-tracking the process. As you've heard, we have about a month or so to conclude the process. And if we are to wait for a lengthy printing, and we hear now there's even some breakdown, then the timelines in the election operations plan will be seriously jeopardized. So that is the reason why we had to communicate simultaneously to the printer at the same time the gazettements. On the issue of the manual register vis-a-vis the digital register, the Commission is guided by a Court of Appeal judgment, which was rendered on 4th of August in 2017. And as a Commission, that is the judgment and the guidance that we are going to follow until there will be an otherwise judgment contrary to that. So if you are not familiar with that judgment, I think we need to make efforts for all of us to look at that judgment. And in that judgment, it actually adopted a memo that came from the Commission then. And that memo was dated 27th of July, 2017. And the judgment held that the primary data of the register of voters is the biometric. So it is the primary register to be used. The same judgment says there will be a complementary system in the event that a voter will not be able to be identified. In other words, all processes and efforts that has been made for biometric identification fails. And here there are several stages. Once you turn up, you give out your ID or your passport, whichever you used for registration as a voter. And if you are identified positively, then you will be asked to touch the fingerprints, the KIMS kit. And by the way, the biometric register and the physical register or the paper register, they are one and the same. You use the biometric register to print the paper register. So this notion being carried around that biometric register and paper register are different is actually misleading Kenyans. It is the same register which is in an electronic form. It's only printed and bound as a booklet. So there is no distinction, ideally. The only thing we can talk about is, in the event that, for whatever reason, your finger is not able to be identified. And it can happen so. If you are a farmer and you've been using your djembe so often, if you have been probably a plantation worker, a tea plucker, vidole zimeenda, you are a young lady from coastal northern Kenya, umepaka hina, haionekani. In such a scenario, there is the same judgment gives an alternative. If you put there and you are not visible, I mean your details are not popping up, then they take your identification card you used during registration as a voter. If it is the ID, they will take the ID number and insert in the kit. So once you insert in the kit, if you are a registered, duly registered voter, your details will pop up. If it pops up, then all that the clerk does is, this image on the screen of the KIMS kit, is it the same person who is standing here? If it is so, then tick, you will be allowed to go and vote. There will be what we call supervisory mode that will authorize you to vote. Then you will still don't need the paper register, isn't it? You will have voted. Then the situation arises where that kit has completely broken down. What arrangements has the Commission made in such a scenario? If and when there is a total breakdown of the kit, which means it cannot do anything, the alternative, the Commission provides a substitution of that particular kit. And this time round, I was actually talking the same thing to KEPSA people this morning. The Commission has doubled the number of spare kits in every ward. Instead of 3 in 2017, now we have 6. So all that the PO will do is to notify the returning officer, the RO, and the RO will make arrangements for a kit to be delivered to start the process. And all they will do is just remove the SD card and insert in the new kit, and things will run. So for us, we do not see what is the problem. If your fingers cannot identify you, we will use your ID card to search for your details. If you are in the register, in the digital register, you will vote. There is no way you will be missing in the digital register and you will be available in the paper register, because we said they are one and the same. So we only revert to the digital, the paper register, in the event that even the backup kit has failed and there is no other alternative kit to be provided as a substitute. In such a scenario, that presiding officer cannot make that unilateral decision. He will have to, now the complementary mechanism will kick in. There will be a process. He will report the same to the returning officer. The returning officer will notify appropriate director, and it is then that authorization will be given to the PO to open the paper register to be used for voting. Is it clear? So that is the default mechanism as per this judgment of 2017. If and when there will be an amendment to that judgment based on the canvassing that will happen in this current case, of which I doubt if a lower court is going to override a senior court, then we will wait and see for that judgment. So I think that was the guidance that the Commission was trying to use, and I think it was the discussions we had in Windsor that we will print the register, the paper register, but we will keep it and use it in the event that there will be a complete breakdown in accordance with the guidance as provided by the court in 2017.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to add on one small thing that probably I would want Kenyans to know on the same is that many people don't know which registration documents they have used during registration. I've seen some cases whereby voters are asking me that I registered but I'm not there, and they give me the ID numbers. But when I check in our database, I see that they have registered using their passport. So people should take advantage because this facility is still there. Let them confirm which document did they use. Did they use passport or did they use ID? So I think that is very, very important because then you will go to the polling station with ID and yet you have used actually your passport to register and then you are going to be turned away. So it's very important for people to confirm that. In as far as procurement is concerned, I want to say that the Commission is a law-abiding institution. And we are all aware that the procurement for ballot papers was basically done using open tendering method. And that is the law requirement, that the procurement should be done in an open and transparent manner. So the Commission used open tendering method for the purpose of sourcing the printer of ballot papers as well as the results forms. And you are aware that out of this, Inform Lycos was actually
and we cannot go beyond the periods which we have outlined. So whatever cases in court, urge the Chief Justice and the Judiciary to speedily dispose of those cases, if possible, by the end of this week, so that we can then be able to print the ballot papers and bring them in the country and be able to then send them over to the respective constituencies and polling stations. So do we have any other questions? Let's take the last round.
Okay.
Yes.
This is to the Vice Chair. She's alluded to something that was very brief. And in her brief comments, you can misconstrue what she was trying to say. And the issue was on the commissioners being fully aware of the ballot printing exercise. All she said is that they were informed today that the ballots are arriving and went to the airport. So, Madam Vice Chair, once again, just for clarity purposes, please clarify, were the commissioners fully on board about the ballot printing exercise? Because the information you are getting and your response can be, well, interpreted or misinterpreted otherwise.
As you think of a lengthy answer, let's take the other questions, if any.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Wendy from Kenya.co.ke. I have two questions. So for the first one, where does IEBC store the IDs gathered from aspirants, and is the data safe?
Sorry, say that again.
Where does IEBC store the IDs gathered from aspirants, and is the data safe? For the next question.
That is during the nomination period or something? Yeah, okay.
The copies of IDs.
Okay.
For the next question, what will happen if Sakaja is later blocked by the courts from buying after ballot papers bearing his name have been printed?
Got that? You know, some of us went to very different schools. I didn't get the second question. Yes. So let us say the second question again.
I just want to know what is the next simulation exercise.
Okay. Next simulation, yeah. We can deal with that. The second question, unless somebody captured it. They also didn't hear. Yes.
What will happen if Sakaja is later blocked by the courts from buying after ballot papers bearing his name have been printed?
Okay, Sakaja. Okay. Now, as a lawyer, I'll tell you the matter is in court. It's sub judice and I'll not comment on it. But, as I said, we're urging the judiciary to speedily dispose of those cases, because we cannot, at some point in time, we shall have to print the ballot papers. So if they can dispose them off this week, then the commission will be able to move with the rest of all those changes that may be there. But if they delay, then we will still print ballot papers, and it will be too late then to change. Yes. Vice Chair, then IDs gathered. We are compliant with the data protection laws. I think the CEO should be able to give you a bit more detail on our level of compliance with the data protection law. Next simulation, again, CEO and Commissioner can speak to that. Professor, we can take your question, then we... Yes.
It's just a brief one. On that issue of simulation, you remember when it was done,
yes,
there were so many important questions which were raised.
Yes.
And I think one of the, and that probably would require much greater consultation between IEBC and the relevant stakeholders.
Yes.
Because, for example, there were questions such as, were there agents in those areas where the data was allegedly coming from? So I think that a lot of those questions can easily, at the next simulation, can only be productive and effective if there is a prior consultation with the relevant key stakeholders, the political parties.
I totally agree. Yes, and I think we have done a lot since that time. The CEO should be able to take you through what we have done and the preparation towards the next simulation exercise.
Chair, with the permission, I have two more questions to finish my list of questions. One is on agents. We had raised an issue during the winter one about candidates being allowed to have their own agents at the polling centers. We still have not gotten a response or any engagement. If you could throw some light on that issue, that would be very important.
Candidates being allowed
candidates being allowed to have agents online at the polling.
The number of agents per candidate, or
yes, candidates are insisting they have a right under the rules to have their own agents in the process.
Yeah.
So we would want to hear what kind of direction you will give on that.
Okay.
And then regarding the KPMG audit report, can you confirm to Kenyans whether all the voters who had been migrated to wrong polling stations in other counties, can you confirm whether they have been returned back to their stations? How many were they? And these questions would be eased up if you could give us the report and the commission to undertake that everybody has been taken back to the area where they were registered to vote.
Okay, thank you. Marjan, you can pick up this. This Vice Chair, sorry. Let's start with the Vice Chair, and then you pick up the others, and the Commissioners can
Thank you. Mine is to just repeat what I have said, and I picked up from what the chairman said, that he was called last night at 8 p.m. and was told that the first consignment is coming today. And after that, he called me at 9 p.m. and told me that we are going to receive the first consignment today. We were to have the KEPSA meeting today, so we had to reorganize the schedule for today so that part of the commissioners will go to the airport to receive. And as you saw, it was the three of us remained at KEPSA meeting. That was Professor, myself, and Commissioner Wanderi. We were not there. Everything is just plain. And then the CEO has also reiterated and said that we have the contract implementation committee that liaises with the supplier, the printer, and everything was done in order. And he also explained before the country that logistics that are into it, that is the flights and everything else. So with that, and knowing that the contract was to take 30 days, and indeed today we received the first consignment. Let me cool down the pressures of the country that indeed we are going to have free, fair, credible elections come 9th of August, because there is nothing that we are going to put under the carpet. Indeed, the management does their part, and the commission deals with policy and supervisory of everything that happens. We will go to the warehouse and we will even make it open. Remember today, our stakeholders, the political parties with presidential candidates, have gone to the warehouse to check the production of the Kim's kit that is ongoing there. Again, we will travel to Greece to see the printing process that is between the 15th to the 20th. Thank you. Am I clear enough? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The question I wanted to address is the issue of IDs, copies of IDs collected from supporters and candidates. I want to assure the country that, as what the chairman has stated, is that we actually subscribe to the Data Protection Act, even for the purpose of enrollment and for the purpose of processing the data, whether it is processed by us as controller or by any other entity that does it on our behalf. We have filed the Data Protection Impact Assessment with the Data Protection Commissioner. This can be confirmed. And we have put down measures that we put in place to ensure that the information regarding our customers is basically protected, or rather the information of the data subject is protected. So we are very keen in doing that. That's why you see, even when you ask for register, whereas you could be sharing names, but you cannot be sharing IDs and probably telephone numbers. So we actually truncate those details to ensure that we protect the information of our customers. So yes, we have put mechanisms to ensure that those data are actually secured as much as possible. Regarding the next simulation, when is it going to be done? The commission is working towards possibly end of next week, but we are going to announce to you when this simulation is going to be done. And yes, we have regard to issues that have been raised by stakeholders, very, very important. Part of the thing we are going to do is to assure you that we are doing the right thing. We would want to invite stakeholders to be where we are going to transmit from. And from where we are going to, at a central place like this place, we are going to do a video conf call to where the transmission is actually taking place, to confirm it is sent, you see it has arrived, and so on. So when you do, like, for example, several places, and we give you assurance, including where we are, one will be transmitted where we are, and therefore that will give you assurance that the process is working as expected. So that is what we intend to do, and we are going to inform in advance when are we going to do it. Regarding the issue of KPMG, I think the chairman has explained. What we did want to do was to share the report without also sharing with the implementation on what we have done. You notice that the report basically stated that there are immediate recommendations that to be done, and they define immediate recommendation to be between the date of the issuance of the report and the date of the election. There are some things that we need to do very quickly, and there are those ones that needs to be done after the election. So for us, we've been paying attention to ensure that, first of all, we actually implement the same. I think we sincerely apologize for having delayed to do that, but we are going to, our target was actually to do the same by end of this week. So we are going to release the same together with the status of implementation, because I think for you it's not just about what are the issues, but what have you done about them, and that is what we are trying to pay attention to on that. I think the issue of agents, I don't know, but maybe Mr. Uye can be able to comment on this, but what I know is that if we have, for example, 4 candidates in a polling station, let's say for presidential purposes, we have got 4 presidential candidates, and therefore we'd expect at any particular time we would want 1 accredited agent in the polling station. If there are many, but if they want to change because of personal concerns, sometimes you are pressed, you want to go out, then somebody else can come but they must be accredited, and that accreditation process is going to be there. So if there are other independent candidates who are actually in the race, then we will also give them at least 1 candidate per independent. So we don't want to overcrowd the polling stations, but we want everybody to be there to witness the process as much as possible. Thank you very much.
You want to add on the issue of agents? Or is covered? I think it's clear. The issue about when is the register available, I know you have not asked, but you'll ask sooner than later. The register, I think we are finalizing by next week.
Yes. The printing of the polling station.
Yeah, polling station, at polling station level, I think by next week, then we should be able to tell you to pay us some money, then we give it to you. Yeah, so I think that should be done by next week. Otherwise, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's sorry again for keeping you here, and we look forward to our next press briefing, which should be sooner than I think we shall agree with the team sometimes next week, early next week. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming.